my name is Marie Nickerson. I'm here at Bedford Fields, and Simon and I, my little shadow here, are on a mission to spruce up some of our older plants here at Bedford Fields so we can use them again later on in the season. Fall is an absolutely wonderful time to be sprucing things up, and everybody wants to do it at home too. You may have a basket like this where some of the plant matter still looks okay, but it's got no more color. And as soon as those leaves start getting affected with the temperature changes, it's going to look like a stressed out plant. But the scavola in it could certainly be saved. It's got great color and it's still going to be coming for several weeks. So with that in mind, we've decided to put a few things together and add some spots of, splash of happiness and brightness around the place. To do so, I'm going to show you how easy it is to rejuvenate your own pots and to put something together to put on your doorstep. We tend to call them liners. Something like this would fit into one of these baskets. Or the black tub that we have here, that was used earlier this season, and this is just a drop-in hanger. Easy to do with what you've got at home. Keep in mind, what you want to do is use the right plant in the right place, and it's probably going to be the #1 failure for plants. For an entire pot anyway of grouped plants. Make sure that the plants you select are going to be used in the right exposure and that they're all similar. They all have the same light requirements and the same water requirements. The next thing we're going to do is choose plants that are compatible. Some of them are going to lose their color fairly quickly. Others are going to keep on going, and it's going to force you to want to keep turning that pot. We don't want to do that. And the next thing we're going to do, and probably the most important for some people, is you want your 3 layers, so to speak. Basically, we want something tall, we want something that kind of fills in, and we want something that spills over if we can possibly do it. I usually add a little bit of magic to my pots as well as my personal signature, and I'll show you how you can do that to make your pots look their absolute best. So I've got a pot here, also a recycled pot. Doesn't have to be brand new. I want to show you how to easily do this at home. Use a coffee filter or paper towels at the bottom of the pot to keep your new soil from flushing through. Your silt is going to run out probably with a little bit of water, but you don't have to have all that soil going out of sometimes fairly large pots at the holes at the bottom of the pot. So with that in mind, I've got my paper towels in place and fill the bottom with soil. Don't really try to skimp by using the soil that you already had in the pot from earlier in the season. It really doesn't do your plants any good, and you won't be happy with the results. Keep in mind too that there are some plants whose root systems actually are not compatible with other plants and can actually kind of harm whatever was planted in that soil. So we want to do plants that go well together, and we want to do a fresh soil that hasn't been, had the life sucked out of it, so to speak, as so many things do at the end of August and early September. I'm going to add my good soil. This is a good composted mix. It's a little on the heavy side. I like it for outdoor plants. It keeps them going for quite some time. And now's the time to add soil moist if you're going to do it. Do not add soil moist as an afterthought or any product like that. That's water retentive. I still recommend using it even in the fall. With any potted plants, it's a great idea, but you got to do it now because you want that to be at the roots of the plant, not on the surface. So I'm going to add my soil here, and I kind of like to go for color. That's my personal choice. So I'm going to start with my favorite color first and then work around it. I've decided to use the old standard for this time of the year is the mums. And that is going to be what I consider my focal piece. It also happens to be my filler in this case. Now we want to add something for height and drama. These spikes you've probably seen for sale all summer long. We've got a nice new crop of them for fall planting. So gently tease them out of the pot. I know that a lot of people like to shake the roots loose around plants before putting into planters. I tend to do that a little bit more with the spring mixes because they're expected to be in the pots probably a little longer than the fall plants are, and I am personally a little cautious about breaking too many of the little fibrous roots this time of the year. But if you want to do so, just gently tease some of that soil away. you'll find a lot of the plants you're buying in the fall, if there was new merchandise for fall planting, they are not pot bound, and you shouldn't have any trouble setting them right into place without breaking them apart. So that's going to give me a little bit of height and drama. Since these are smaller plants, I can go ahead and use a couple of them in this particular planting. So I've got my mums and my spikes. We had a long root coming out of it, but a lot of nice soil here. I'm not going to break it apart. Now that I've got some spikes in, I've got my height. I'm going to put a little more color in there. And these little peppers are absolutely darling. This is a real bonus plant because the peppers will continue to change colors as they age. They come off and they're a little bit of a banana yellow when they start, and then they turn a beautiful, beautiful dark orange, almost to a deep bittersweet color a little bit, later on before they're fully matured. I'm going to toss them in on this side here. So now I've got a couple things going. I'm picking up the fact that my little peppers here are going to turn orange. So I'm going to throw a little bit of orange in there. And I think the Calibrachoa is wonderful. Calibrachoa is one of those plants that you might be able to save from some of your summer baskets. So really look at your planters before you dispose of everything. Sometimes they can be teased apart without too much trouble. My Calibrachoa, within maybe a week and a half or so, is going to start hanging over. It'll be a lovely plant. Last but not least, we want something dark, something light, something bright. So I've got something light and I've got something bright, but for a little bit of depth, I decided to add the pansies. Also something you might be able to salvage from your spring or summer baskets. Because it's later in the fall and they can tolerate our cooler nights, they actually enjoy our cooler nights, you can put the pansies in a spot where they're getting quite a bit of sun, and they'll handle it just fine this time of the year. Really not a problem. Now I'm going to add some soil in here to fill it up the rest of the way. I just wanted to make sure you guys got the gist of it all. But rather than take up all of your time as you watch me spooning soil into the middle of the pot, a couple of things that you can do to put a finishing touch for a great fall basket. Are to break off some twigs. Probably have some of these right in your yard right now. If they're still leafy and green, it's okay to thin them out and strip the leaves right off of them. Go ahead and stick those in there for a little extra height. And using whatever you can find around the house, I've actually found some sawdust, some shavings that came as packing material. Tucked here and there throughout the planter. I think they make a darling arrangement. That'll certainly bring in October, November, and do just fine. Even as the color kind of goes on it, they'll have a really great fall feel. Enjoy your new planter. We're always here to help you. Feel free to call with any questions.